And we are just minutes away. That's right, minutes away from my 72-hour fast, the end of my 72-hour fast. Just a few minutes, and you've joined me as we kind of walk through that path together. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We are creating that new life, that life that we've always wanted. We are living a limitless life. And our limitless living pathway says that we are not allowing anything from outside of us or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do for our health. We are reversing diabetes. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to get off of medication, who want to improve their metabolic health, who want to, that's right, put their diabetes in remission. And we are here in this space to do just that. I'm glad that you've joined me. I've got some good things that we're going to be doing here in just a few minutes. Once again, you've joined me, and I am just a few minutes away from that 72-hour fast that we started almost 3 days ago now. And we'll get to see what my blood sugars are doing. You guys know how we do it. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pop that up because you'll get to see what my monitors are, and you get to see off to the side the things that I'm going to eat as I break the fast right here with you on the show. Of course, below me is my Dexcom Clarity report, which you'll see there in just a minute. There it is, my Dexcom Clarity report, which is right down below me. And we get to take a look to see what my blood sugars are. I've got my Keto Mojo, I've got my Contour, and I've got my ketone and my blood sugar strip, so we can see what's going on with my blood sugars as we move throughout this day, this episode. And with the report, we get to look back and see what's been going on. Here we are reviewing fasting today. So this entire process that we're on is with the intention that we are doing the things we need to do to improve our metabolism. One important point that I actually just want to make right here at the beginning of the show is that a lot of you are watching and a lot of you are working on weight. And I want to tell you that the improvement in weight is really just a side effect of all the additional benefits that you're working on when you are improving your metabolism. That's right, weight happens, the weight drops, the weight goes down, but that's just a side effect. We are talking about how do we improve our body in totality, the entire thing. And when we do that, guess what? That's right, weight goes down. And we'll take a look at that with my weight here in just a little while. Also, blood sugars get better as a side effect of the things that we do for our metabolism. Our cholesterol goes down. Our blood pressure gets better. Our fatty liver gets better. Now, I want you to notice that those are simply side effects of the benefit that comes as we are getting our metabolism righted again. So dysfunctional metabolism is the culprit, it is the thing that's at the bottom, it's at the base, it is at the core of the things that we see when we talk about chronic diseases. And so improving it is amazing. You've joined us, somebody's invited you, you've stumbled across the show, YouTube suggested it, somehow you're here and you're wondering, what exactly is going on? What are they talking about? What's he talking about? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. There are over 1 billion people on the planet right now with type 2 diabetes or metabolic or prediabetes. 1 billion, that's billion with a B. And metabolism, dysfunctional metabolism, is at the core of all of that. And so we are in the space, we are working to put that diabetes in remission, to reverse it. And all the things that we do, all the tools that we're learning, all the mindset changes that we're doing are with the intention that we are improving our metabolism. Because diabetes is an extreme form of other diseases that are on the spectrum. So other diseases are simply the ones that you heard me mention. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, obesity, metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and of course prediabetes and diabetes, which comes under that phrase of insulin resistance. So if we can improve that, if we can make that better, then everything downstream, everything on the spectrum, everything on that pathway also improve. And so that's what we're doing right now. On our show, Dwain Woode MD Live, we are walking through the path, limitless living on Mondays. And then on our check-ins, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you caught us on a Friday, we do a check-in because I do a 72-hour fast on a weekly basis. That's right, 72 hours, so that we can see what's going on in my body and you can see what's happening also, so that you can know that you can do it and you can walk along with us. So I'm excited right now. I'm excited, one, because it's getting ready to be the weekend. I've got some good things going on. So an interesting thing happened to me just a little while ago, and it prompted actually for us to do the show a little early. I was out getting ready. I'm going camping, and I was actually out at the campsite, and I was putting up some tents, and I was leaning over and getting up and hitting stakes and all that stuff, and I stood up after bending down, and my vision got dark. Not black, right, but just a little clouded. And I realized that I, one, was dehydrated because I had been out working in the sun, hadn't been doing a good job of drinking. Right, there you are. That was the first thing. And that I probably needed to eat something, right, to get my energy up, because I'm going to be out there for a while, putting up the tents and so forth. So, and I was going to drink something, right, to raise my blood sugar, because my blood sugar was, I think it was 74 or 75 or something like that. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted to break the fast here with you. So I actually left the campsite, came home, and here I am. So you guys get to see me break the fast here with you in real time, and then we're going to hop back over and we're going to go finish up setting up for camp. All right, so let's take a look at some numbers. And the first thing that we want to look at is actually my blood sugar, which makes sense. That is what my blood sugar is right now. This is my Freestyle Libre, and it says that my blood sugar is 80. And we're looking at this number, this squiggly line right here. You see 80 is up here, somewhere right there. And then the squiggly line down here. And you'll see that's what my blood sugar has been running over the course of the last 12 hours at least. Okay, let's look at my Dexcom, and Dexcom says that my blood sugar is currently 88, which is not far off from the 80. Let's go. I'm going to put my finger on this, and we get to see what the actual numbers were. You'll see that there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. All right, so we've been running in the 80s to low 100s. I think we popped up about 100, 102, 104. Yeah, I think 104 is the highest that I saw. Oh, there's 107, I think. Yeah, right. No, it was a 97. Okay. Yeah, 104 is what I see so far as the highest as we've gone through. If I go back and look at 24-hour period, see we're down in the 70s, and then up into the upper 70s, 80s, 90s, up to down back into the 80s and 70s, and then of course now in the hundreds. Okay, you see that there? All right, so that's what my continuous monitors are saying. One of the things that I do want to show you too is, so this is my weight this morning. Actually, let me do one thing. I want to pull up. Well, yeah, that's the weight from this morning. I also want to show you. Let's see. I think I took a picture of what it was. Was that last night that we showed that? Let's see. Let's see. Here it is. 180. There we go. Okay, 186. There it is. So this was what my weight was yesterday. 186 yesterday morning. I think last night when we talked, and I'm switching back and forth because I took pictures in the middle of that. My son had a program, so you don't want to see all of that. And then now 184 was what it was. I think that was yesterday afternoon, actually. And then, of course, what it is right now is 184. Yeah. So we were 186. We were 187 2 days ago, 186, 184 today. So you see that the weight continues to change. And an interesting point that I want to make here, which will come back and hopefully delve talk a little bit more about is that idea of the side effect. So the weight that I'm showing you, and as my weight is changing, it is just a side effect of the metabolism that I am working on. So it is not the goal, but it happens. And you will find that you're getting many benefits as you are improving your metabolism in the space that we're in the fasting, in the balanced bites, in all of the different tools that we're using. You'll see those benefits as well. All right, so that is what my blood sugars are. I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look at my monitors. Now on my tray, you'll see some of the food I'm eating. It's in the same scene, but that's okay. So I've got some salad that we're going to eat here in a minute. I've got some curry chicken that we're going to eat. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And I'm going to open up. This is the Keto Mojo. This one is the ketone stick. And this one is the blood sugar. And then I need to grab a strip for my contour. Hold on a second. All right, so let's get a strip for the contour. And we'll see what those are. And I want to get this out of the way because we're going to eat here, and then you watch as the blood sugars rise over the course of the rest of the show. So let's get that one in. Go ahead to get the Keto Mojo in. And I just have a new bag of strip of Lancet, so let's go ahead and get one of those out. And you'll see last night I used a different Lancet, which actually worked. So I'm going to try to use that same finger, by the way. Let's see if that... Ow, ow, ow. Ooh, that better give me a good... All right, so it's not as brisk as I thought it was going to be, but it sure it hurt. All right, so let's get that started. That's the Keto Mojo. Here is the contour. See what those numbers are. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep trying to see if I can get another drop. So 98 for the contour. Let's get the strip in there for the ketone. And I think this is... And I think I'm going to have to do another poke. Ah, you see how quickly that dried? Boom. Ow. Ooh. Okay. There we go. That'll work. Okay. All right. And so that's while that's running. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to leave that up so you guys can see exactly what that number is. All right. I know I usually make you guys guess, but we're going to just look at it together. Look at that, 2.2. Okay, 2.2. So just, and there it is. I am over 72 hours now. So a little over 72 hours is what was my blood sugars are. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eat. I'm going to start eating because we want to see what the blood sugars are. And you'll see right there, we're starting out with a blood sugar of 81. Well, I'm going to take a picture of that. 80. Oops. I think that went off. There we go. So blood sugar of 81 according to this guy. And then according to the Dexcom, 88. So that's where we're starting. And we're going to go ahead and eat. And so we'll talk as I'm eating because I want to get that out of the way before we get into our discussion. And so I see some of our community members out there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hop over and say hello. And I did see one of the questions. Let's see. So we've got Pamela that's out there. And Pamela says, good afternoon, doctor. Hey, Pam, how are you? Steve says, hi, Pam. Pam, hi Steve, how are you? Steve asked, is that wings? It's actually not wings. It's actually legs and thighs that I've cut up, and it's curry chicken. So we'll look at it again here in a little while. Pam says, it looks like it. He said curry chicken. I did say curry chicken. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get these monitors off the screen. and we get a better look. There it is. There's my plate. All right, so I've got some salad, which I'm actually going to start with the salad because I think that's probably what's going to raise the blood sugar. And I have my favorite dressing. Now you may have other dressing. You know, this is what I use. I don't make my own. I can probably, but I don't. I just go get these guys, and it is delicious. And I think last time we asked how much a serving was, and I think a serving is 2 teaspoons. Right. So this is just a salad that I got. It has romaine lettuce. It has iceberg lettuce. It has carrots. It has some red cabbage in it. Okay, I think that's all that's in this. All right, and that is something I picked up as well. So let's go ahead and get some dressing on there. Does that look like 2 tablespoons? I don't know. Whatever it is, that's what we're having. So yeah, so that's the salad, and then here the chicken. Like I said, these are legs and thighs that I've cut up, right? And I actually did a video a little while back where we actually showed cooking this. And I don't know. Let me see. Do I have that video on here? I may, and if we do, maybe I can show that. Let's see. Let's see. What's this one? No, that's not the. Oh, curry chicken. Here it is. No, I guess I don't have it. I don't have it queued up. But yeah, but we've shown that. We've shown that before. So if you're not seeing that, go back and watch that video. But yeah, so my curry chicken, my son loves my curry chicken, and so I love my curry chicken. So that's what we've got. And let's get back over here. And okay, so back to what we're eating now. So I'm gonna get a piece of, and this is the first bite. Here it is, first bite. Let's do it. First bite. 72 hours and 6 minutes. That is good. Yeah, I said I was going to start with the curry chicken, with the salad, but I actually started with the curry chicken. All right, so while I do that, let's go ahead and I'm going to do my chicken while I eat. And our chicken is important because it is a way to evaluate what's going on in our lives, what's going on in our fasting. When you're fasting, or actually anytime you are doing anything where you're working on improvement, you want to be able to evaluate those things. How are those things doing? Are you getting the benefit that you expect? How are you feeling? And 3 of the areas that we talk about when we talk about evaluation is how are we doing physically, mentally, and how are we doing emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. And those are the 3 areas that we will talk about. And those are 3 of the domains of health. You know, we've been walking through this series on the domains of health, and those are 2 or 3 of the most important ones. This is so good. So domains of health, right? We should have a breaking the fast party. Have you guys come on we all can show what it is that we are using to break the fast. And this was actually what I'm eating was actually requested by one of our community members, Gion, who I don't think she's on right now, but she said salad, chicken, and steak. So I have the salad and the chicken. I don't have the steak. All right, so physically, you guys heard me describe what happened that prompted me to leave the campsite. So I was actually feeling pretty good, and I think I just got out there today, and I did not do a good job of hydrating prior to getting out. Sun was up, I was bending down, picking things up, carrying things, and I felt it a little bit earlier before I left. But I said, okay, I'll just get through this, and then I'll go drink something. But this last time when I went down and I stood up, it was very obvious. And one of the reasons that I actually decided to leave was I had someone else that was out there helping me, and some other people were coming later. But at that time, he had gone off to get something that we needed. And so I'm standing in the field by myself. And I said, okay, no, this is not, this does not bode well. So I walked to my car, and I was just about to grab something to drink, and I said, or something with because I didn't have water. Actually, no, I was going in the building, because they had juice in the building. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I sat for a little while, checked my blood sugar, made sure that it was actually okay. And then I said, okay, I'm going to sit here for a minute. Then I got some water, and I said, okay, yeah, I'm not far from here, so let me go do the show, which is where we are here. So that is a perfect example of listening to your body, right? Because I was tempted to push through. Oh, it's gonna be all right. But what I had the presence of mind, number one, to remember that, hey, you're out here by yourself, right? And you do need water. You do. I mean, it's hot out and so forth. So always listen to your body. So physically, was feeling fine up until that incident. Wasn't feeling tired. Wasn't feeling as though I was walking through mud or quicksand. I didn't feel like I was hitting a wall, but I did notice that I was dehydrated based on the activities I was doing. And then mental, our thought process goes along with our physical health and what's going on with us. So that if we're tired, if we're not able to process, even in that moment when I felt lightheaded, dizzy, when I stood up, I had to really concentrate to be able to process at that moment. So that was, yeah, it goes together. People say they feel foggy-headed, they feel like they're walking through a bubble. All those things happen if we're not well rested. And then emotionally, well, I'm excited. One, that I'm eating right now. But prior to that, was excited for the weekend coming up. Excited for the things that we're going to be doing. So emotionally, I was actually on a pretty high. And I think that's why it didn't even occur to me that I wasn't hydrating. Because I was so pumped about what I was doing. So physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then, of course, we saw the blood sugars a little while ago. Okay? So let's go ahead and get through some of this. All right. And so then today we're doing our review of fasting. How do we prepare for a fast? How do we get through a fast? And of course, how do we break the fast? All important points for us. And right now you're seeing me break the fast. You're seeing what I'm using to break the fast. Not a whole lot of high carbs, not a whole lot of processed carbs. And that's the key. It is the processed carbs that cause the biggest problem, right, for us. And so what we want to do is we want to talk about the things that you need to know for fasting. What are the things that you need to know as we are getting into a fast? How do you fast successfully? And that's what we're talking about. Let's take a look at blood sugars here quickly. So 89 according to an 80. So not big change, but I've not eaten. Let's see, how much have I eaten? Take a look at this. Maybe half. Maybe half of it. So good, y'all. Maybe I should stop talking and just eat more. And you will break your fast with lots of different things. There is no, you have to do this food with a fast. And I suppose let's start there. Let's start backwards. Wasn't planning to do that, but since we're breaking the fast, let's go ahead and start there. When you break the fast, the food that you eat during the breaking of the fast has profound impact on the success of the fast that you just got out of the next fast that you're going to do, and the next 24 to 36 hours after your fast. We say that again. The thing that you use, the food that you use to break your fast has profound effects on the fast you just finished, the fast you're going to do in the future, and the next 24 to 36 hours after your fast. Why is that? Well, the things that we eat after the fast, the body has to do a lot of different things, particularly if we've had one of those extended fasts. But when you start eating again, the body has to kind of jump back into gear, right? Because it's been quiet. The GI tract's been quiet. Your insulin levels are lower. Your blood sugar is lower. The body's now it's been burning fat, and it has to switch over back to burning carbohydrates, because the likelihood is that the things you're going to eat have carbs in them. Unless you're eating like a piece of steak, like right now the chicken that I'm eating, that I'm going to eat, not a lot of carbs. And there should not be any carbs in there other than, I think, the curry, the masala that's in there probably has, it's plant-based. So by virtue of that, it has some carbs in it, right? It's very difficult to eat things unless you're eating meat, chicken, fish, right? Red meat, that is not processed, that is not breaded, then you don't have any carbs. Other than that, most things that you're going to eat have carbs in them. So our goal is to minimize the carbs as much as possible. Because when you put carbs in, the very first thing that has to happen is your body has to take those carbs, or will take those carbs, it will replenish your liver. Because remember, you've just emptied out your liver when you started fasting. When you got to 24, 36 hours of your fasting, the liver is empty now. Carbs are gone. I mean, the glycogen is gone. So when you eat, the body will use some of that sugar to run your heart, lungs, and so forth, because it has to switch back from burning fat to burning carbohydrates. Any excess that you have is going to go to the liver. And remember, for every gram of glycogen that the body stores in the liver, it stores 3 grams of water. So if you put in a whole lot of carbs and the body is rapidly replenishing the carbs in your liver, then your weight will rapidly go up. Because remember, it's 3 times more water than it is for the actual glycogen. And so some people will say that, hey, I fasted and when I lost 3 pounds, and then when I started eating again, I put on 4 pounds or something, some crazy number. And the reason is, for some people, the thing that they ate after they broke the fast, high processed carbs. And so the body rapidly puts on water to compensate. That's the first thing. The other thing that happens is, because you are eating, if you don't do a good job of what you eat, if you eat highly processed, carbs, you get a big spike in your blood sugar. And when you get a big spike in blood sugar, guess what has to come out? Insulin has to come out. And when insulin comes out, appetite gets stimulated, and you're fighting cravings for the next 24, 36 hours. So you see that immediate time after the fast, very much affected by what you eat. How does it affect what you just came out of? Well, if everything that I just said to you happens, then you undo a lot of the work that you did when you were fasting. Your weight goes up, insulin spikes, your appetite stimulated, the cravings come back, and you're like, man, I guess this didn't work. But it has to do with what we did when we came out of that fast. Okay, so I'm going to stop here on the salad. And to be honest, I'm actually full. So I'm going to have a couple pieces of the chicken, but I don't think I'm going to eat all of this. Okay, so that's how the fast is very important. So when you are fasting, or when you're breaking the fast, you want to prioritize, and let me hop over to that since we're talking about it. You want to prioritize various different types of foods. So you want to make sure that you're eating a healthy carbs, healthy fats, lean protein. And so here's, let's do this one. So here's some tips for breaking the fast. You want to make sure you're monitoring, right? So why is monitoring important? And I mentioned that, several times over the last day or last week. It's important because you want to see what's going on in your body. You want to know what various foods are doing to your blood sugar, what they're doing to your weight, even ketones. When I break my fast, I try to stay in ketosis as long as possible. This is good, if I do say so myself. Curry chicken. If you've never had curry chicken, if you're in town, talk to me. And I make this the way I've seen it made, grew up making, my dad makes, my family makes. And so right now, I'm just thinking back. It's just, right? And isn't that the way it is with food? A lot of times it's not the food that we're craving. It's what the food is doing for us, the memory that it brings back about a time that was different, time when things were good, time when we were safe, we felt calm. Yeah, I saw that. I've been eating the whole time and I didn't drink anything. All right, so I think I'm gonna let that. All right, let's see what I've eaten. Let's go back over there. Okay, so maybe half of the salad and just a couple of pieces of the chicken. I'm gonna eat one more piece because it is so good. There you go. Okay, so that's what I've eaten so far. Yeah, half of the salad, some chicken. All right, and so at this moment, my blood sugar is 81. According to the Libre, and 89 according to the Dexcom. Delicious. Okay. All right. So back to fasting. So breaking the fast, monitor blood sugars, monitor your numbers, monitor your weight, your ketones, your blood sugar, whatever is available to you, you want to be monitoring. In terms of monitoring weight, I think I've mentioned to you guys the Fit Index scale, which is what I use because it gives me just a breakdown of so many different parameters. It doesn't have it on this screen. Let me see. I think I took a picture of that. So let's pull that up so you can see all the data. Let's see, is that one? Nope. I'm sure I did one at some point. How about this one? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So you'll see there it shows weight, of course, BMI, body fat, fat-free body weight, subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, body water, skeletal muscles, muscle mass, bone mass, protein, BMR, and metabolic age. All right, so you'll see all of that there. And it's a good way to monitor your body post-fast, right? In terms of how the weight's changing, how my fluid status is, mass, muscle mass. That's a good one to monitor actually during fasting. Okay, so monitoring, very important. Portion control, and you saw me just a minute ago make a decision that I was not going to eat anymore. That can be a big challenge for a lot of people when they come out of the fast. Because of two things. One, because of this idea, the scarcity mentality that we sometimes will develop. And the scarcity mentality says, I have been fasting for however long, and I missed out on all the things that I would have eaten. So let me go ahead and catch up. Right? So we're catching up for the things that we didn't eat. And so we believe, we don't, no, well, that's what we believe, but it's almost as though we got to make up for lost time. And because of that, we get a lot of stuff and we eat and we eat and we eat. Well, it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to get the signal from your stomach that it's full. So in that 20 minutes, you can actually eat 2 or 3 times the total number of calories that you should have eaten. So we want to make sure that we are observed, we understand the portions, so that even if my brain is tempted to eat more, I can look, I know what a portion is. I've allocated a portion, I've taken the portion out. And so don't decide, here's a good point, don't decide what you're going to eat to break the fast at the time you're breaking the fast. Because at that point, you're going to grab whatever. So plan what you are going to do way in advance so that you know, okay, this is a portion. I know this because this is what I put out. And if the brain says something else, then you have a way of countering that. Okay, so portions. So number one, the scarcity mentality. They say, okay, I got to make up for the time that I lost. The other thing that happens is we are anticipating with great excitement breaking the fast. So we romanticize it. We make a story about it, about how good the food is going to taste and what we're going to use to break the fast and how this is going to go with that and boom, 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 right? So we put all of that together, and so our mind, our brain is looking for that. And so we get all of that stuff together and we end up eating more than we should. So portion control. Eat slowly, and I've commented about that. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to get the signal. And so the faster you eat, the more likely you are to eat more than you should because the signal doesn't get there. Once the signal gets there, then the body is able to process that unless there's some other issue going on. Like just a while ago, I think the reason I was able to stop is because I was talking while I was eating. And I think, yeah, I shouldn't say I think. And I talked long enough that my brain got a signal and said, hey, guy, stop eating. Okay? And then avoid sugary, highly processed foods. For some of the very reasons that I talked about, that when you are eating highly processed foods, high sugary foods, then we get the spike in insulin. Spike in insulin comes out, then the appetite goes up, our weight goes up, and we're down the road. So all of those things, very, very important. So what you want to do is you want to prioritize foods that are going to keep you full, foods that have a lot of nutritional value but don't have a lot of caloric value, right? I shouldn't say, well, not caloric value. You don't want high calorie. You want high nutrient dense. That's what I wanted to say. So you want nutrient dense foods, not calorie dense. And so when you're breaking the fast, so choose foods that help maintain stable blood sugars while providing nutritional value and are gentle on the digestive system. Because remember, you're coming out of the fast. The body has to wake up, has to process, is switching over to burning carbs now from burning fat. The GI tract has to wake up, so those goblet cells that are there that are producing the protective lining, they've got to wake up, and depending on the food that you give it, then they have to produce a lot of protective coating versus not a whole lot. So if you give it something, if you give somebody something that is highly, I don't want to say just spicy, but that's what comes to mind. Something where it has to generate a lot of protection, then a lot of times people will have nausea, vomiting, bloating. They may even have increased elimination, diarrhea, running to the restroom all the time. And all that happens because of the food that we put in after the fast, right? So you want something that's gentle on the digestive tract. And you want to focus on low glycemic index foods. So these are foods that have glycemic index of 50 or less. You want to do lean protein, healthy fats, and then you want to make sure that you are hydrating. Okay? So make sure you're doing those as we're breaking the fast. Now, I mentioned that how you break the fast will affect the immediate post-fast period, which makes sense. How it affects the fasting that we just did by virtue of undoing some of the things that we did. But how does it affect the next fast? Well, your brain has an interesting process. Your brain remembers and it has correlations between things. So that if this fast didn't go well, right? My weight didn't change. I have like significant hunger afterwards. I've got craving. I'm eating all kinds of stuff. Then our brain says that the fast did it. And so the next time we want to fast, then it's harder for us to fast in the future because, after all, the last fast didn't work. It didn't go well. I got more weight. I put on more weight. I was really, really hungry. I was starving. So notice what happened. Because of how we broke the fast and the resulting issues that we had, that we may have reversed some of the things that we did in the fast. We may have lost weight, that we put the weight back on. Now we're craving all kinds of stuff. We're eating all this sugar. Blood sugars are higher, and on and on and on. Then the brain says, okay, that was a fasting issue. And so let's not fast again. So there is a direct relationship between how you break the fast with what happens throughout your fasting experience going forward. All right. So that was that's breaking the fast. So you want to make sure that you're doing a good job of breaking the fast. But how do we prepare for a fast, and why is it important to prepare for a fast? When I talk about fasting, I actually talk about fasting in 3 different sections. And one is what we just talked about, how do we break the fast? But also, how do we prepare for the fast? And then how do we get through the fast? Those are the three different areas that are important. Because how you prepare for the fast also is very important. Because it sets the stage for the successful completion of a fasting experience, right? So how do we break the fast? How do we fast successfully? And then, of course, how do we prepare for the fast? So how do we get ready for the fast? Why is it important? Why is preparing important? It's important because how you get into the fast determines ultimately the fasting success. Yeah. So there are going to be, well, let's say it this way. So fasting is not just not eating. It's not just not taking food in. Fasting is an emotional, mental, social, and you can name it. You can keep going on and on and on. It encompasses so much in our body. If you haven't seen so, look out our episode that we did last night in our check-in. And one of the points that I made there was during fasting, you're essentially working without a net. We have been so used to using food as a crutch, using food as a comfort, using food as that security net, that when we are fasting, we don't have access to that anymore. We're essentially now working without the net. We can't turn to food because we're fasting. And that sets up an emotional component. It, of course, sets up a mental component, psychological component, because now we've got to face those things that we normally would use food to buffer, or use food to avoid, or use food to comfort. We've got to face those now. And so that all goes to our emotions and goes to our thought process, the way we see things, the way we interpret things, the meaning that we give to things. All very important in the fasting process. So as we're getting into fasting, we want to be ready. We want to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want to get good rest. And you heard me talk before that if you're not well rested, when the body's switching from one source to another, switching from carbs to fat, then it can seem as though it is a drop in my energy, but it's actually a transition in energy, but we can feel that more profoundly if we're not rested. We want to make sure that we're hydrated, because if we're not hydrated, then we feel lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy, palpitations, all of those things that sometimes people will say are associated with fasting, but actually are due to the preparation for the fast. If you're on medication for diabetes, you may have to stop or reduce those. Otherwise, you end up having low blood sugars. So preparing for the fast encompasses all of those types of things. You've got to set out, well, what am I supposed to expect in the fast? What will happen to my body at 24 hours? What will happen at 36 hours? What will happen at 48 hours? What should I anticipate so that when it does happen, it is a normal process and we don't feel now like something is wrong? So preparing physically, mentally, and emotionally, very important as we get into the fast. So mental preparation, you want to set clear goals. How long am I going to fast? What am I anticipating in the fast? Am I looking for blood sugar improvement? Am I looking for weight improvement? What am I expecting? So that you can begin anticipating those and you can celebrate them as you move through the fast, because that helps you to move through the fast successfully. When you're able to celebrate, when you see things that are happening, you're like, okay, yeah. Because there are going to be some challenges. And what is the thing that's going to help drive you, help push you, help you keep consistent? You want to visualize what it's like to fast and end the fast and what the successes are that you're going to get. I am improving my metabolism. I'm becoming more insulin sensitive. My weight is going down. My A1C is dropping. I'm improving my metabolism. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Begin visualizing that, so that when you hit a hump or you hit a bump, you can look forward to, okay, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. And then educate yourself on the fast that you're doing. How does it work? Are you doing a 16-8, a 1 meal a day, alternate day fasting, 5 and 2? Are you doing one of the extended fasting regimens? What is it? What is it that you're doing, so that you can do that as best as you can, so you understand what's going to happen? And then get some affirmations. All right? What is something you could tell yourself in the fast that will help push you through the fast so that you can stay the course? Remember, we have the inner critic and the inner coach. And the inner critic is always reminding us of the times when we didn't do, we couldn't do, we didn't succeed. All of those are happening here. But the inner coach has all of those positive things. They pump you up. And you can use affirmations to help support the inner coach, so that the inner coach has some stuff to tell you. It's on the wall. Boom. You're improving your metabolism. Boom. Your blood sugars are getting better. Boom. Your fatty liver is being improved. Boom. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is being managed. All important as we move through fasting. And then nutritional preparation. And just like the things you eat when you break the fast can have an impact on the fast, the things you eat going into the fast, just as important. Because if we eat highly processed sugary foods going into the fast, then in the initial periods of the fasting, our body has to process those things. And those will cause weight gain, they'll cause fluid retention, they'll cause cravings. And so the first part of our fasting can be very difficult depending on what we ate coming into the fast. So you want to make sure that you're not eating a lot of high processed sugary food. You want to increase your healthy fats and your lean protein in the days leading up, because those will help you stay fuller longer. They will slow the GI tract. Remember, the proteins that you eat produce peptide YY. And the fats will produce or stimulate the release of cholecystokinin, all of which helps to say to the brain that we're full, and it helps to slow the GI tract so that we feel fuller longer. Right? All of that is important. So nutritional preparation. And then hydrate. Did I say hydrate? Let me say it again. Hydrate. Right, very, very important. One of the most important things that you can do in preparing for the fast, getting through the fast, is hydration. And then you want to prepare your environment, right? Make it fasting friendly. Get rid of the things that are going to trigger you, the things that you are going to see and have a craving for. Prepare distractions. Plan reading, plan getting together with from friends, go walking, meditation, something that distracts your mind from the hunger. Remember, we're always in the process of trying to put things in place that help us to move successfully through the fasting period. And so what are some takeaways for preparing? Well, preparation is key. You're going to prepare mentally, and we can add there physically and emotionally as well. Get good rest, eat nutrient-dense meals, and then get into a supportive community. Community is so, I can't stress enough how important being in a good community is. And so then, now we've talked about preparing for the fast. We've already talked about breaking the fast, but how do we get through the fast successfully? How do we understand some of the things that are going on in our body? And for this, I usually break fasting down into, or getting through the fast down into 24-hour periods, 0 to 24, 24 to 48, and then of course 48 to 72. But we're going to do a little bit smaller chunks. And you've heard me talk about what the body does right after you eat. That's actually called the postprandial period. That's the period during which your body is taking the food, it's breaking it down into the small components, and it's extracting the nutrients from it. It's getting the macronutrients, fat, carbs, and protein. It's getting the micronutrients, it's getting the vitamins, it's getting the minerals out of it, and it's just pulling that in, sucking it in, chopping it up, and now it's sending it to the places it needs to go. That's what's going on in the postprandial period. Your blood sugars are typically higher because there are carbs in the food you're eating. The insulin level is higher. So insulin is in the process of stuffing food into different storage places, particularly if we've eaten in excess of what the body needs. Because remember, when we eat food, some of that food goes to process and run the things that we need: heart, lungs, kidneys, the body, essentially. And anything beyond that, well, I shouldn't say anything. So that's one thing. We're going to run the body. Some of the energy goes to repair. Some of the proteins go to create other proteins. Some of the proteins go to create enzymes that are helping the function of the body. And then beyond that, anything that's in excess that the body holds on to goes into storage. So not all of it is going to be burnt off. So people say, well, if I exercise after I eat, doesn't that burn off the food that I just ate? It depends on how much you exercise. It depends on how much food you ate. So just because you exercise does not mean that you're burning off all of the food you ate. It's kind of like going to the grocery store, right? So you have $10 and something costs $11. You have money, but it's not enough. So you've exercised, but it's not enough. So you have to exercise commensurate with the food that you're eating, with the calories, with the carbs. And we've already dispelled the idea of calorie in, calorie out, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just tit for tat. I'm saying in general, when you are eating, if you're saying I'm exercising, if you're saying I'm burning it off, you have to have done enough to balance out the amount that you've eaten. So people say, well, I walked for a half an hour. Well, depending on what you did, the half an hour is 120 calories. You just ate 900 calories. Okay? All right, so the early fasting stage is that next 6 hours after the postprandial, and this is where your insulin levels are starting to drop. The body is processing the sugars, and those are starting to go down, and soon is going to start looking for a source of energy, which is going to be coming from the liver first, and then eventually fat cells. And then we transition to using fat. This is the 12 to 16 hours, 12 to 18 hours. As the body is using up the sugar in the blood, and it turns to the glycogen that's in the liver, then it says, okay, hey, I need more, right? I'm using that up. Where do I get more from? We get more from the fat cells. And now we're switching to transitioning to burning ketones at this point. And then ketosis is beginning. Remember, it takes 24 hours, roughly, for your glycogen to go away. So if you come to me and you say, well, I have not eaten for 18 hours, my blood sugars are still high, I would say, yes, it is. In fact, if you come to me 24 hours and say my blood sugar is still high, I'm going to say, yes, it is. Because remember, the body has to use all of that up, then go to the liver to burn the sugar in the liver before it gets to ketones, before it gets to fat. So if you haven't eaten for 24 hours, maybe the body still has some stuff that it has that needs to burn. So 24 to 36 hours is really the sweet spot. So, but ketosis is beginning. And when we get to the 24-hour mark, we get to fat adaptation. That is, the body is fully now engaged in burning fat and producing ketones. And so understanding those various transitions that are going on in the body, important because it helps us to know what's going on in the body. Because when we know something, it makes the process simpler for us. We can make decisions about how to behave. And this informs our fasting in the future. Right? So how do we prepare for a fast? What's going on in the body and how we get through a fast? And then, of course, how do we break the fast? And getting through the fast, some of the same things. You want to make sure that you're rested, make sure that you are hydrated, make sure that you're using electrolytes. All of that very important in the fast itself. Yep. So I love having conversations about fasting because I think fasting is a fascinating tool. And another time to make the point that the things that we see, the benefits that we see in our body are simply side effects of us doing what we need to do for our metabolism. When your blood sugar goes down, when your A1C improves, when your blood pressure goes down, you're coming off of medication, your fatty liver is better. When you've lost weight, all of those are side effects of the fact that we are getting healthy. So sometimes we focus on the side effect to the exclusion of I'm getting healthy. But I just want to make that point. So our diabetes is reversed because we've improved our metabolism. Our weight goes down because we've improved our metabolism. Our blood pressure is better, and we came off of blood pressure medications because we improved our metabolism. And those things are side effects of the process that we are on. So if we do that well, limitless living, if we do that well, then we see all of those downstream benefits. Better blood sugars, better weight, better blood pressure, better cholesterol. Just amazing. And everything that we do, everything that we teach, everything that we are working on is on the basis of our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the blogs, with the podcasts, with the shows that we do. It's a change in our mindset, in how we look at things. Nothing from outside or inside is going to prevent us from doing what we need to do. That requires that we change how we think. It requires that we adjust sometimes how we see things and the interpretation that we give to those things. So we educate, we empower with the tools that we're using. One of the tools is our 100-day walk to consistency and health that we're doing in the morning, 6 o'clock, 30 minutes. Join us. Do something that helps your body, to move your body, to improve your muscles. It helps with insulin sensitivity. In fact, the walking does similar to what the fasting does because it hits all the parameters. It hits all the pillars, reducing or decreasing our insulin, reducing our appetite or suppressing our appetite, and reducing sugar. Boom, there it is. Fasting does the same thing. When we follow a balanced bite menu, when we think through that process, how do we do the food? Whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, tasty and appropriate portion sizes. When we do that, we're decreasing insulin, we're suppressing the appetite, and we're reducing sugar. Boom. All of those are tools. And the tools give power when you infuse them with action. If you just listen, that's great. I love the fact that you're getting some mindset change, but the benefit comes. The power comes when you take that now and on a daily basis in your life, you are applying the things that we're doing, the things that we're learning. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And we encourage with this amazing community that you are part of, that you are helping to build. If you want to go somewhere, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, if you want to go long, if you want to stay successful consistently, take a community with you. Because they get to allow you to, you get to allow them to lean on you. You lean on them, they lean on you. We get to encourage each other. We get to pull each other. We get to push each other. We get to prop each other up. Because we're all in this together as we are working to improve our metabolism. And dysfunctional metabolism is the culprit in our chronic diseases. And so if we can improve that, boy, we're well on our way. Hey, I'm always excited when I get to hang out with you. And we will be back actually tomorrow for Video from the Vault. We will see you on Sunday morning for This Week in Review. And then we'll be right back here on Monday at 7 p.m. Central for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue our path, continue our walk through limitless living. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, we are living a limitless life. And limitless living says that I am doing all that I can. I'm not allowing anything from outside of me, from my environment, or anything from inside of me, my internal environment, to prevent me from doing what I need to do to be successful. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you at our next episode. Bye, everybody.